Hello and welcome to Let's Ride Around Europe. This is Neufchateau. I just had my last charge stop on the way to Luxembourg from Calais. We're not too far now. Google says it's an hour and a quarter. Just see, can I avoid putting my foot down here? Yeah. No. That's why I'm not getting any messages. There we go. I was like, why aren't I getting any directions? Because I hadn't turned my cardo on. Oh. Yeah, so my charge stop was on the entry to Neufchateau. So this is Neufchateau itself. It's very pretty, actually. It's quite nice. You might even describe it as picturesque. The last bit of road I was on was really nice. What? Google, what are you doing? Well, it appears I've gone the wrong way. Google's just like, oh. I think Google's having trouble finding me. I think that this feels like a satellite location issue. I did follow the side for Luxembourg. It might not be the right side for the way Google wants me to go, but it looked like the way it wanted me to go on the map, so... Let's keep going this way, it'll figure it out. It's probably absolutely destroyed this time. Still a 55 zone. I mean, it's a 50 zone, but like everything's 10% off on this speedometer. Yeah, let's actually talk about something. Google will figure it out eventually, don't worry about it. Pretty? Yeah, I was talking the last time, it's like, you know, I keep forgetting to have stories to tell in these videos. And yeah, it's good to have something to talk about, generally. Because often, like, I'll go through these videos, I'll just write down, like, whatever junk I happen to be like rambling on about and try and come up with a coherent narrative to like put the post up on Twitter about what I was talking about. But one of the things I was thinking about is like, I don't people think I'm very adventurous, right? Just because I do like all of these tours and stuff, and I video them and put them up, and people think, oh man, you're really so adventurous, wow, I'd love to do that kind of thing. And it's really cool that people think that of me. It's not true, but it's cool that they think that of me. And it is cool if, you know, people feel inspired to do this stuff because they watched a video of mine. But like, I don't have a huge amount of stories to tell, partially because like I'm a bit of a shut-in. Like I'll sit at home and play games all day long, or at least I used to. I used to sit at home and play games. I don't so much these days. These days I sit at home and edit videos. And like a YouTube channel I used to watch back in the day, as it were, is a guy called Jingles. And he like used to just tell stories in his videos about stuff, you know, and he always had like stories to tell. But a lot of his stories are like naval stuff, because he used to be in the Navy. I was just thinking about that at my last stop. Like I was thinking, you know, okay, what am I going to talk about these episodes? And I was just like, I'm a software developer. You know, I don't have those kinds of stories. You don't want to hear my software developer stories. They are boring. And to be honest, I can't really remember most of them anyway. And on top of that, any of the ones that like I could tell you, I've just been through like looking for a new job, right? I've just been through some intense interviewing and stuff. Do you think I want to tell you like stories about developing software? Because I do not want to tell you stories about developing software. I have no idea what the speed limit is in this area. It just occurred to me. I'm gonna treat it like it's 70, but I think it is not 70. I think it's like 90. It's a forward-facing camera anyway. I can't do anything to it. Please, bienvenue. There's a nice cat inside of that house. Yeah. Well, now it's 70 for sure. So. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I've just been through like interviews, like intensive interview course, and like if there's anything that I want to talk about my work, I have just spent 2.5 weeks talking about it again and again and again and again, and like I've talked about it. It's like complaining about Google, right? Do you think I want to complain about Google all the time? I do not. But what was a sour face they gave me? Wow. Yeah, I do not want to complain about Google all the time. And I don't want to talk about work right now either, because I've just done a lot of talking about work. And to be honest, I don't think any of you guys would be interested in it. So I don't have any, like, cool work stories to tell you. More is the pity. So I kind of have to like construct stories out of like my travels, my hobbies, and all that stuff, and there just aren't a lot of those stories that are really interesting or that I remember. That doesn't mean there are good stories that are forgotten, just that, like, you know, sometimes some of the things I do just aren't very memorable. But, yeah, so, I don't know. I do have some cool travel stories. I'm gonna try and, like, space them out a little. So I don't like tell every one of my stories in one go, and then kind of out of stories. But you know, I think it's important to realize that not everyone is a story machine, even if they are nearly 40. I wasn't always like a boring software developer. I used to do like whatever random job came up. I started out like clearing tables in a bar and doing like back of house stuff in the bar, like doing like inventory stuff and cleaning out the glass bins and stuff. And did some factory work for a while, making nets. I helped to make the nets for the largest trawler in the world at the time. I spent a little time working retail in a cinema, like a concession store, like a kiosk. I spent time in another factory, feeding fish into a filleting machine. That's the closest I've ever gotten to a job that would take my fingers off, because that job would have taken my fingers off if I wasn't attentive. And yeah, like, I understand that I have a cushy life. Working in, like, well, working an office job. I don't really work in an office anymore, do I? But I have done less cushy jobs. And the perspective of having done those jobs is part of why I know that my job is cushy. But yeah, at the same time, it takes more out of you than you realize. And you kind of have to have, you know, there's this whole thing about work-life balance and like, oh, establish a good work-life balance and stuff. It is actually very important, because if you work a job like mine and you don't do that, the job will just consume you. Even though, like, oh, I'm just sitting at a desk typing things on a laptop. Oh, how terrible. Believe me, that job will destroy you every bit as much as a job that involves physical labor, because like your brain is a part of your body. That's and so you need to establish like a proper work-life balance. You need to have things to do that aren't work. And that's kind of the problem that I've had with like sort of my schedule not being amazing lately, like of videos. It's just I need to do something that isn't work, and editing videos is kind of work. Doing these Let's Rides isn't so bad, but the soapboxes are quite difficult. Like the soapboxes are work. You know, it's like sitting down and writing a report. You know, basically, and then you've got to record it. So it's a report, writing a report plus voice acting. But generally, you want to do stuff in your spare time, and you kind of feel a bit wasted. So kind of some of my spare time stuff tends to be like kind of just sitting and consuming media and playing games and stuff. Especially over the pandemic, you know. But I have branched out into other stuff. I got a big into airsoft in Ireland and role-playing, tabletop and LARP. And I never really connected with those communities when I moved to the UK. I don't know why, I just didn't. I connected a lot to the furry community though. That's been a wild ride. It's been a big social outlet for me. The kind of thing is, I struggle to think of role-playing stories that are interesting because I'm not really a very good storyteller to start with, right? So, but also I've got to like think back years and years ago with like a role-playing game and like what happened in the role-playing game, and I'm gonna turn that into an interesting narrative. And we're getting into like the soapbox thing again, where it's like, have I scripted this narrative? Am I ready to sit down and record me telling a story? You know? This road is quite nice, by the way. Road is quite nice. I've gone a little slower than I would like, but well. Oh, this is Habe. Okay. Well, Habe is the end of this episode. So I hope you liked it. Leave a comment if there's anything you'd like to say about it. If you did like it, consider giving it a like. You know, you might enjoy a bunch of my other videos that are quite like this one, particularly like if you look out for Let's Ride in the title. I have, you know, a whole bunch of those videos, and if you like them, you should consider subscribing. And hit the bell, obviously. And if you would like to reward me for entertaining you today, you can find my coffee link in the description below. Bye-bye. These two episodes came out kind of short, so I'm just going to stitch them together into one. Enjoy! Hello, and welcome to Let's Ride Across Europe. Across Europe? It was around Europe.
In 400 meters, at the roundabout, take the second exit.
Second exit. Oh, a stag. Around Europe, yeah. Because, you know, I'm going back, obviously. But you have joined me in Habe, on the way from Calais to Luxembourg, which I will be in very soon. I think this is the last episode of today. And I've had a very good day. Bit of a wibble, you know, around noontime as my journey was getting on the way. But it's been so relaxing. This is the first time I've really enjoyed traveling through Belgium. It's always been, gotta travel through Belgium. But it seems once you leave the motorway, Belgium is a much nicer place to ride a motorcycle. I'll have to remember that for future. Yeah, so I'll just be talking about how boring I am. I'm glad you've tuned in. Just talking about how I don't really have a whole lot of stories. But in this episode, I'm going to tell you a little story. So I've prepared a story for this one. Last episode, I was like, I'll just talk about how boring I am. This episode, I'm going to talk about how not boring I am. Woo! So once upon a time, I was at Midwest Fur Fest, which is a furry convention in Chicago. And there was a rubber panel, which is a panel for people who like to wear like rubbery materials. And that's the thing I'm kind of interested in. So a friend was like, hey, I have a spare latex catsuit if you would like to wear it to the rubber panel. I was like, sure. So, you know, I grab a partial of my fursuit, so just the head, the tail and its belt, and the hand and feet paws. And I head over from my hotel to the main hotel, because I wasn't in the main hotel, where his room is. And then he takes me to another person's room, and we start to get ready. So to put on a latex catsuit, you basically first you get naked. Alright, well hey. And then you or a friend or both of you cover you from neck to toe in silicone lube. Well hey. And then you put the latex catsuit on. It is extremely form-fitting. Just the lubricant. And you're basically naked underneath it. And then I stick on my feet paws, and my hand paws, and my tail, and my head. And off I go to the rubber panel. I've got this lovely black latex body and my little fluffy bits around the edges. I'm a cute African wild dog, sort of. And I go to the panel and I meet a lot of people there, photographs, and my friend is there in his absolutely gorgeous latex partial outfit. Way more beautiful than what I'm wearing. And I meet some people who I know there, and like, oh, this is your suit, that's really cute. It's a lot of fun. I make some connections. I give no guarantees as to the horniness of said connections. And then, you know, I go out of the panel, and because it's Midwest Fur Fest and not like a European con, you can just wander around the lobby in that kind of gear. And it's lovely. I went and I, bumped into a bunch of people and I said hi. And like I was a cute animal. and all this stuff. Just, you know, general furrycon stuff. Really enjoyable. And then like 2 a.m. I think you can see where this is going. I go up to my friend's room. I know my friend's friends, by the way. So it's not like some random person's room. It's a friend of a friend who also is a friend, right? So I go up to their room. There's no answer at the door. So I'm like, shit. So I have a little shoulder baggie with me that's got, you know, my keys, my wallet, my phone, right? And I reach into the bag and I'm like, hey, you know, telegram, friend, hi, hello, you about? And then a message like the guy whose room it is like, are you guys still up? And I get no answer because they've all gone to bed. It's 2 a.m. at a furrycon, you light wits. But this presents a problem. Because I have indoor footballs on. And for those of you who don't know, they're not exactly the most amazing things to walk around in. And they're not like delicate, but they're not exactly hard wearing. So I make my way to my hotel. Now there is like a walkway that you can walk through, and normally it's absolutely boiling, even though it's December in Chicago. But on this occasion, they'd actually turned the heaters off. How angry is Google going to be if I do this? Okay. Yeah, on this occasion, they turned the heater off. And it's normally boiling, and you're in there in fursuit trying to get to your hotel, and you're like, why is it so hot? But this occasion, freezing. Now, bear in mind, I'm wearing, like, 1 layer of sub-millimeter thick latex. If it's cold, I am cold. And it's December in Chicago. So, yeah, it's the only time I've ever been through there when I've actually been cold. But I got to my hotel and I went into my hotel. No one said anything on my way into my hotel, even though that hotel is not affiliated with the convention, and they're kind of like furries. Yeah, they're part of the Hilton Group, and Hilton Group doesn't really like furries. I got up to my room and was like, okay, I'll take it off. So take it off, and I go to bed. Well, I had a shower first, because if you've ever worn latex, you'll know. Go to bed, and I get up the next morning, and I'm like, right, I need some clothes, because I need to go over to the other hotel to get my clothes back, because, you know, obviously I changed the room and just left my clothes there. I was like, okay. I brought 1 pair of jeans to the con. They're on the floor in my friend's room. I brought 1 pair of shoes to the con. They're on the floor in my friend's room. Okay. What have I got that is pants and not a fursuit? The answer is Under Armour, which at this stage is thoroughly stinky, or a Zentai. Right? So, a Zentai, for those of you who don't know, is a form-fitting lycra suit printed in like some certain style. Mine happens to look like one of my first hits. So okay, cool. This is pants. Right, we've made progress. Just one problem. For reasons. The Zentai is assless. Like, not totally assless. It's just like a slit cut in the ass for no reason. So I'm like, huh. Well, okay. I brought swimming trunks, and I've not gone swimming yet, so they're dry. So I put those on over the Zentai, and now I'm like, okay, I need shoes. Shoes. Okay, hoofs it is, because I have like a caribou fursuit. And the caribou fursuit has like big chunky hoofs, and inside, hidden in the fur and foam that form the hoof, is a pair of shoes. So I'm like looking in the mirror. I'm like, okay, this is really obviously a Zentai. Let's first exit. Let's put something over it. Do I put a normal t-shirt over it? Dunno. So I put... Where is Google taking me here? So I put like a hockey shirt over it. I have a hockey shirt. It's not like a real hockey team. It's like a fake furry hockey team. Typical stuff. It's got my name on it and everything. So I throw that on over the Zentai. I'm like, okay, this is like an outfit. And off I go. I'm now wearing a hockey shirt over an assless Zentai, over which I'm wearing swim trunks on the outside, and capped off with like hoofs.
In 400 meters, turn right.
So, yeah, that's totally presentable. And I go off to the other hotel, and I've messaged my friends, and we're trying to hook up, and that doesn't work out.
Turn right. Then, turn left.
It doesn't work out for... Is it this right? Okay. That's the left that I take?
Turn left.
Okay. You're not making this easy, Google.
In 500 meters, at the roundabout, take the first exit.
Yeah, it doesn't work out. And I end up spending quite a significant portion of the day wandering around in this outfit. Nobody says anything to me about it. I think I bumped into Gail Frostbane, and I was like, oh my god, Gail, look at me, I'm a mess. Yeah, I did eventually manage to get something sorted, but it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
In 50 meters, at the roundabout, take the second exit.
And yeah, I finally got my shoes back. I finally got like my jeans back, and also my t-shirt and socks and undies. Is that the blue ones? It might have been the blue ones with the bananas on them. But yeah, that. See, I do have some cool stories like that. The wonderful thing is, of course, it's a furry con. No one says a damn thing. There's a couple of seconds of me wearing that on a video somewhere. Not deliberately, just like I'm in the background of like a video. But yeah. You know, furry cons they're really something, you know. I absolutely love them.
200 meters, turn right.
Maybe I will think up some more cool convention stories to share with you guys. But you know,
Turn right.
I also kind of hope that the roads will be kind of roads where I don't particularly need to tell stories to make them interesting. There are a whole bunch of those roads coming up. You know, it's not all fat stuff. But yeah. Last episode, I'm boring as hell. This episode, much more interesting.
500 meters, turn right.
I guess that's Luxembourg in the distance, but this route confuses me. Kind of part of the problem is like it would be super easy to tell that story in like 2 minutes. It's basically like, yeah, my clothes ended up in someone's room because I was wearing latex, and yeah, I ended up wearing this crazy outfit. But you know, you can make a story out of it. It just takes a little effort. I'm not someone who builds up like a collection of these things. I live very much in the moment, and I don't really reminisce on stuff a whole lot. And I get like if I sat down and I said, oh, I went to this con, what happened then? I went to that con, what happened then? You know? Or if I, you know, kept diaries, which is something I've never been able to do, I would have so much more to talk about. Like so many more stories to tell, but I don't really do those things, you know? But you know, perhaps there will be more stories in the future. And the question is, how far away am I from the end of the episode? Because I've told my story now. The only note that I've got for where the end of the episode is A6. So at some point I will be crossing the A6, or maybe going onto the A6, I'm not entirely sure. And whenever that happens, that'll be it. But you know, I'm not entirely sure what indication I will get that that has happened. And I'm not entirely sure how close it is to Luxembourg. I think it's not that far away, because one of the reasons I've cut out Luxembourg itself, windmills. One of the reasons I cut out Luxembourg itself is just because it's gonna be me sort of like trying to get through snarly traffic and stuff. I forget if I booked. Yeah. That's something I need to check. I forget whether or not I booked breakfast. Am I gonna have to go on an adventure in Luxembourg tomorrow to find some breakfast? I was just like noting the time and the sun getting low, and like, am I gonna have time in Luxembourg to do stuff this evening, or am I gonna be doing it tomorrow and leaving late? You know? This is one of the things that I like. Interesting aspects of like me traveling is I have a tendency to just stay somewhere and not do a damn thing while I'm there. So we just entered Luxembourg, like the country as opposed to the city itself. Hit a 70 limit, and this guy's just come right up our arse. You can pass me if you want. Just go for it. Yeah, I talked about this in another one. I think it was kind of early in Aberystwyth. 50. You kind of early in Aberystwyth.
100 meters. On the roundabout, take the first exit.
Well, it was like, just because you're going slow does not mean that you should force everyone else to go slow. You do not have that right. If someone wants to go faster than you, just let them go, even if you think they're dumb for doing it. But yeah, stories are good. I wish I could remember more of them. And kind of the thing about being a shut-in is I tend to do a lot of stuff by myself, and a lot of great stories come from doing things with people. It's one of the reasons why I'm actually so protective about the tours that I do with my friends, and why I don't really like to film very much. Just because, like, the moment you bring the camera out and you're like, oh, hold on, let me just do this thing, and it's like you're ruining the magic, my dude, you know? Just gotta let that magic happen and live in the moment and not try to capture it so hard. Like, this is okay because I'm not stepping on any toes to do this except my own, and for me this is not a problem because I'd just be listening to music, you know, if I wasn't chatting to you guys, and it's kind of therapeutic for me to have like just this outlet to talk to. Yeah. Because it helps me to pass the less interesting parts of the route as well. I like this bus lane. City road or anything. It's just like country road with a bus lane on it. That's cool. another country. And once again, I have no idea what the speed limit is. But this guy seems to be doing like a little over 100 kilometers an hour. At least by my reckoning. It's probably doing 90? Yeah, it's probably trying to do 90. Let's assume that that's the speed limit here.
600 meters. At the roundabout, take the second exit.
Aha. The sign is A6 written on it. Second exit.
Exit the roundabout.
I think that this is the end of the episode. So, if you'd like to say anything about this episode, do feel free to jump into the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and consider checking out some of my other videos. I have a whole bunch of videos, some of which are quite like this one, and if you enjoy them, consider subscribing and hit that bell. If you would like to reward me for entertaining you today, you can find my coffee link in the description below. Bye bye.